All right, King. Before I become completely detached from college football, I need a pros and cons of the transfer portal, NIL, and essentially opt outs. So I'll start with the transfer portal.
It needs to be regulated in some manner.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I would detach NIL and transfer portal. I would say, first of all, I'm going to combine the two because they kind of go hand in hand. High school kids are not eligible for NIL.
Okay.
Like the true essence of the word is name, image, likeness. A high school kid has not played an actual game at the college he's going to, so he hasn't generated any money from that college.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know what college he's going to until he actually signs his letter of intent and shows up on campus. So that's a whole space up under the NIL umbrella that you could eliminate immediately. High school kids aren't eligible. Second thing I would do is I would regulate the amounts on the NIL based on position.
Okay.
All right, your quarterback can be paid up to $1 million, and I would do it by room, not player. Your quarterback room can be up to, let's say, $2 million. Your running back room can be up to $750. Your O-line room can be up to, let's say, $3 million. Like however you want to do it, but make it uniform across the board. So that way, if a school has believed in a kid and developed a kid, there's a reasonable number that school can decide to match to retain the services of the kid if they would like.
Did you ever?
Lastly,
I'm sorry. I want to say, did you ever think we would be having this conversation about college athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I was working for ESPN. It was either the first year of the AAC or the last year when all those teams were in Conference USA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having dinner. Kevin Sumlin was still at Houston. Rich Rod was at West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, but they all were in the same conference. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was the Big East. Maybe it was one of those transition years when before Louisville went to the ACC.
I got you.
And I was sitting at that table, and I was like, and I had never thought of NIL. I was like, what do you guys think of name, image, likeness? I was like, and I was on the simplest form of it. I was like, if a car dealership wants to pay a kid $2,500 to come down and sign his autograph, they should be allowed to make that extra money. Mm-hmm. I never thought it would grow to this point where guys are actually getting like multi-million-dollar contracts. But I thought at its purest form, NIL was actually something that the kids deserved.
I 100% agree with that. I think, well, I'll go at you this way. Obviously, the NCAA has hoarded billions of dollars for centuries on end. But how did it get to this? Was it just the NIL saying let it be a free-for-all because we somewhat kind of got our hand caught in the cookie jar? How did it get to this point?
I think, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think the high school athlete and coach pushed colleges to complain at such a high level about the way high school recruiting was taking full advantage of the recruiting process. That the transfer system in college should be more lenient, and NIL was coming down the pipeline once the coaches start making all the big money.
Yeah.
NIL is a direct result of the college coaching pay scale. Transfer portal is a direct result of the entitlement and behavior of high school athletes and coaches from, let's say, 2017 to the implementation of the transfer portal.
Now, King, that's the premise of the transfer portal, not to make sense of the transfer portal. I understand that, and this will probably ruffle some feathers, but to me, guys don't want to compete like they used to. So you bring in a 5-star cornerback, and I'm a cornerback on that squad. I'm not competing. I'm going to just transfer. But when I see, like, the situation at Tulane, where the guy who's the starting quarterback, the guy who's the starting running back, transfer, I just can't make sense of that.
Well, I think there are two different ways to look at it. The one you're talking about, the competitive part and component, that's kind of always existed. Not at the level it does now, because the freedom to go where you desired wasn't the same before. But the second one you're talking about is strictly financial.
Okay.
Like, I was involved in trying to keep Darren Mincer at Tulane. So I know the absolute raw data behind him leaving. And he got such an offer from Duke, I couldn't even advise the kid to go back to Tulane.
Wow.
Like, it was such a massive offer. It's like, geez. You know, that's why I feel like I don't want to cover the salary cap, but they got to put some kind of positional ceiling on the money. And maybe the quarterback, okay, you got $3 million to spend on quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a kid and you like him, but you got a senior that you want to play because he got more experience, then you got enough money to keep the younger kid too. But this is wide open playing field to the Tulanes, and Tulane's a damn good non-Power 4 school. Like, they're in that top 2% of the non-Power 4 schools. I mean, they can't compete financially if a Power 4 program really wants a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid wore my number at Tulane. I was involved. I couldn't even, in good faith, advise that kid to turn down what Duke offered him. That's how significant the offer was.
Wow.
And we're talking about Duke.
Exactly. That's what I don't know, man. This is Penny Hardaway did an interview and he said he thinks all of this, NIL transfer, all of this, is taken away from not just the love of the game from the athletes, but now you're seeing parents not push team ball. They're pushing kids to be individuals because it's all about getting a bag now. It's all about the NIL. Like, go do you. That way you can get noticed. And I'm sure you've seen that to a degree. How true do you feel that is, that NIL, all this stuff is taken away from the love of the actual sports?
100%. I mean, it's giving power to the powerless.
Mm-hmm.
And absolute power, what? Corrupts. Right? So all of these 707 coaches have turned into what? NIL agents. I mean, all these uncles have been picking buddy up from practice. You know, they turned into a business manager. I mean, I don't know what the NCAA thought was going to happen. Especially in a game where college football is not just about that year's roster. Like, a lot of times, it's a part of the fabric of the city in which it resides, of the state within which that city is. You know, because a lot of these major college football programs are non-pro sports towns.
Mm-hmm.
So the area revolves around, you know, that college. So, I mean, it's kind of what you get when people want to win. People want to be prominent. They want to be competing this Thursday. I mean, think about the Bryce Underwood situation. For those that don't know, Bryce Underwood's a quarterback from, I think, either right in Detroit, Michigan, or outside of Detroit, Michigan, that was committed to LSU. The same LSU that just put Jaden Daniels number 2 in the draft. The same LSU that's had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And then Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. And now they got the Lacey kid this year. A school where you know you're going to have first-round NFL caliber wide receivers. The wife of the man that owns Oracle is a Michigan grad. Person, she happened to be watching a broadcast and heard the conversation about Bryce Underwood, kind of thinking about coming back to Michigan, but the NIL deal not being enough. She steps in, and from what I was told, her husband basically paid what it took to get Bryce Underwood to flip from LSU to Michigan. Her husband's not even a Michigan grad. His wife just was. That's how crazy it is. And I want to make this clear, because when people hear NIL, they automatically assume school. There aren't any parameters on the NIL.
Yes.
Like, if you want to offer the top running back in Louisiana X amount of dollars to go to Tulane, and he wants to go to Tulane, as long as you provide the money and Coach Summerall want the kid, we Gucci.
There's nothing to prevent it.
Nothing.
Oh, man.
Now schools have collectives that try to control it, but the collective does not prevent an outside entity from coming in and paying more.
How do you, because you coached at South Florida, so you've coached, played at the collegiate and pro level, how do you recruit given all these parameters you just gave?
Well, you don't. And like I said earlier, for those just tuning in, the high school, the entitlement that has started to become a part of the high school athlete and high school coach when it came to recruiting, they were the igniter for this transfer portal. So, and now they're also the biggest victim. Because now, as a college coach, my job is on the line if we don't win. Why wouldn't I want to go and watch Bowling Green and UConn play? And both of them have got an all-conference right guard that's got 40 starts, that's on some radars for next year to go to the NFL, and just go offer him more money than Bowling Green or UConn can match. I mean, if I'm Miami, why wouldn't I want to go get Washington State's quarterback and give him more money than Washington State can match? Like, that's what's happened to high school recruiting now. Is staffs just would rather go get a more developed kid that's already been exposed to college than go and actually have to, first of all, be capable of recruiting at a high level. There's not a lot of guys out there who are good evaluators. But secondly, this is easier. Yep. And listen, I don't want to hear any high school coaches and players complain because y'all created this environment. It was cute. It was cute 6 years ago to have 5 hats on the table and throw a hat into the stands and, have one school jacket on and take it off and throw it away and put another one. It was cute.
Yep.
It was cute. The decommit 4 and 5 times. Now them kids begging for offers.
Begging. Literally begging.
Please come and recruit me.
Man, that's facts. That is straight facts. Before I let you give me your thoughts on opt-outs, because obviously Cam Ward got a lot of heat for playing only a half. A lot of people feel like the coach didn't protect him. Obviously, there's some guys that are completely opting out to prepare for the NFL draft. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, here's an addendum I think they can put on the NIL. Whatever the state of NIL is, you get half before the season starts. You don't get you don't get the second half unless you play the season through it in its entirety.
That's a good point.
Now, that'll be the easiest way to fix that. Secondly, they got to wait to the conclusion of this first 12-team college football playoff, and then, to me, make a few tweaks and figure out, are the bowl games necessary? And if the answer to that is yes, and I do believe they are, because I think when you've been through the fire with a bunch of your brothers and you got a bunch of seniors on that team, they deserve that bowl game. Yes. And last time probably putting those pads on, last time being with their brothers, that week of kind of enjoyment, the entire fan base getting to say thank you. We appreciate your efforts. Don't take that away from those kids, but then they got to come up with a plan to keep the bowl games relevant.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. 100%, King. Well, King, I wanted to get it from you, man, because we always have these off-the-record, very intelligent conversations. So I appreciate you, brother, and we'll talk after this bowl season wrap up.
All right, man, and listen, we got to do one on boxing, too, because I'm just as opinionated about how you young guys are trying to ruin this fantastic sport, at least from the customer side.
We're going to do that one next week, because that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had before the start of 2025 get really kicking with boxing.
All right, Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year. Thanks, brother. Later.